So I came across this pile of drumsticks that I've acquired over the years from different drummers, and I just wanted to show some of those to you before I get to my very opinionated perspective. So this drumstick is by Zildjian. I can't even tell what size it is. It looks like it's a 5A. This belonged to Freddie Holiday, who was the drummer for Boys to Men. Somehow this ended up in my possession, and so there we go. There's that one. It's pretty cool. This one's a mystery. I don't know where it came from. I'm going to have to, because sometimes I have pictures of when I receive these from other drummers, and you know, over the decades, Midline has probably opened up for hundreds of touring bands, and so that's how a lot of these came to be. This one is by Promark. Jimmy DeGrasso, who was the drummer for Megadeth for a while. I got this from Jimmy. I'm going to keep this one out so I can try to compare the size. It's probably hard to tell how big these drumsticks are over the video, but there's one in particular I want to compare it to. This is probably my largest prized possession of drumsticks from Neil Peart of Rush. Yes, Neil is my favorite drummer. Here's his drumsticks. I have a big, it's a 5-piece framed Neil Peart picture in the control room. But yes, Neil is my favorite drummer. These were his sticks. One of them is broken. I had a friend of mine that was working on the local stage crew when Rush was here on their Vapor Trails tour, and soon as Neil Peart ran off stage, my buddy ran up and grabbed these for me that were laying on the floor. So I've got those, which, like I said, that's probably my highest prized possession of drumsticks. These, where'd you go? Here we go. One of them got kind of some water on it. These are by Vader, which are the drumsticks that I'm endorsed by as well. This is Cody Hansen from the band Hinder. These are size 1A. Midline did like 5 or 6 shows with Hinder, starting out when they were in a motorhome, just like what we had. Of course, they got much more popular, and we kept the motorhome, and they moved on to a tour bus, so those were Cody's. He was warming up on practice pads when he gave those to me. Let's see. These right here are a signed pair of sticks from Travis Barker from Blink-182. Let's see where his signature is, right here. And I think it's on this one too somewhere. Maybe he only signed the one. Travis Barker, Blink-182. So, oh, there's the other signature on the back. One of my students who was with me for 9 years, he just recently took his last drum lesson. Is my microphone on still? Yep. His dad is the tour bus driver for Travis Barker. So I have these sticks. I have his bandana that he wore on one of his tours. I have a backpack that was his. I use that backpack all the time for when I have to take little odds and ends drum stuff with me around. So that's pretty cool. This one, Frankie Waddy, the drummer for George Clinton. I got that stick. Let's see, here we go. Scott Phillips from the band Creed. Got that from Scott. Yeah, we did some stuff, you know. This says Kit Tools, and I think that Kit Tools may have been from Tama drums. I don't remember for sure, but I think that might be the case. When James Harrison sees this video, if he does, James knows everything about all stuff, so he can probably straighten me out on that if it's different. Here we go. Some of us local guys might remember Phil Varone he was in Saigon Kick, and I got this when we played with Skid Row. These are Capella brand sticks. And Phil had also lived in Boise for a while. Oddly enough, while he lived here, I didn't hang out with him. I only hung out with him when we did shows with Skid Row and Phil was drumming for them. And Midline's played 5 or 6 shows with Skid Row. Our first show with Skid Row was the original band on their Subhuman Beings tour. And then later Phil was in the band. And then I can't remember the name of the drummer that's in there now. But yeah, we've played with them a handful of times. So there we go. That's my Phil Varone drumstick. This guy here, it's a Vic Firth stick, a 5B from Joe Rickard, who was the drummer for the band Red. Red is another band that I've opened up for probably 6 times or so, either with Midline or my other band that I had, Cure for the Fall. So there's Joe Rickard's stick. This one, and let's see. Some of them I'm having to try to remember. This is a Fred Fisher stick. And I had tried these head drumsticks for a while. Interesting about these is the inside of it is aluminum and this sleeve is plastic, and you unscrew the tip and then you can pull this sleeve off and replace the sleeve, but the inside of it's actually broken. So that was from a tour I did with a band called Pull from Marquette, Michigan. So I was playing those for a while to try to save some dough, because drumsticks can get expensive when you're out touring and don't have an endorsement. So I tried those for a while. They do feel a lot different than playing with wooden sticks, I can tell you that. We've got so that ended up with me playing Vader sticks around, I think I switched to Vader in the year 2000, and now they help me out, and I get sticks at a discount, and they put my name and logo on there. So that's pretty awesome. This stick right here, both of these are from Scott Rockenfield from Queensryche. This one says Power Tools. So that was Tama's brand of stick, Power Tools. And the other one that I had from Scott Phillips from Creed said Kit Tools on it. I don't know if they changed their name or if that's a totally different thing. This one used to have some green stick tape on it that has since disappeared. I don't know why. But I got this from Scott Rockenfield from Queensryche, and then later Scott Rockenfield from Queensryche was using the head sticks also. This one he handed to me when we were playing, when we opened for him, and this one is when I was in the audience. I went to see them on one of their tours, and I was probably about 20 rows back, and I had locked eyes with him. I don't know if he remembered me from when we opened for them or not. I just really don't know. But I was air drumming along because I'm a Queensryche nut. And I put my arm up like this, and he threw this stick, and it landed right in my hand. So both of those are from Scott Rockenfield of Queensryche. Opposed to this, a head stick from Motley Crue's Tommy Lee. You guys probably know that Midline did a few shows with Motley Crue on their Greatest Hits tour. Gosh, that was the late 90s when that happened, so this was a Tommy Lee drumstick. So I'm saving those. Okay, this one is from Robert Sweet of the band Stryper. So that was pretty cool to wind up with the drumstick from Robert. I was a big, huge Striper fan when I was like junior high and high school. Um, Loved playing along to their albums, and of course they had, you know, an interesting look with their black and yellow. And then in 2018 or 2019 maybe, I don't remember for sure, but I had a band called Cure for the Fall, and we opened for Striper, and so finally got to meet Robert Sweet and get a drumstick from him. Here's two very unique drumsticks. This one is from Ricky Rocket from Poison, and just in comparison to mine, you can see how his has like this formed grip around it here. It's a really interesting design. It's a very comfortable stick to hold on to. It's has a nice feel to it, and that was a unique design from Ricky Rocket from Poison. This one, I think, if I remember, and it's by Vader. I probably said that already. We saw Poison, Mary and I, at the Boise River Festival when they had their stage down off of 8th Street. And after the concert, Mary drugged me to the front of the stage, and Mary kept yelling, "Hey, drum tech, I want a stick. Hey, drum tech." And so Ricky Rocket's drum tech threw this over, and thanks to a persistent Mrs. Fisher, we have this. So that's an interesting design. As opposed to Morgan Rose from Seven Dust, who also plays Vader sticks. This is called the double butt end. So this, you know, mostly where the label is, you have this end, and so if you flip it over, it's still the same end. So if anybody's watched any videos of Morgan Rose, he talks about when he was getting started playing, and then this end of the stick would wear out or it would break, and then you just flip them over and use the butt end of the stick. And I think most of us drummers did that somewhere along the way, including myself. I would have sticks that broke, and I would try to duct tape them together to see if I can get some more miles out of them. So yeah, this is the Morgan Rose from Seven Dust double butt end stick. That's a unique design from him. One of the coolest sticks I think that I have, minus the Neil Peart ones, is this one made by ProMark for the drummer Michael Lee. Michael Lee has since passed away. I think he died from stomach cancer or something of that nature. Pretty young, but he was the drummer for Robert Plant, and then was the drummer on the Page and Plant tour in the mid-90s. Michael Lee, in my opinion, had the best feel for replicating Led Zeppelin, John Bonham drum parts. Just his feel and everything was unbelievable. This stick is very thick, and it's very long. I don't think I've ever seen any other drumsticks longer than this, unless they were some kind of a novelty item. But just compare, my drumsticks that I use are 5B, but most of them are all the same length. So just to compare the difference. So there's look how much longer that drumstick is. It's amazing how much, let's see if I can get back. So this stick from Michael Lee is huge. It's borderlines on the diameter of a marching drumstick, but you know, it's a good 3 inches longer than, most sticks are about 16 inches long, so this one's probably 19. Huge. I don't think that I could ever play very well with sticks that big, but so you can see it's got some stage time on it. And the way I wound up with this is I worked the locals crew here in Boise when Page and Plant came to town, And when the show was over, this was laying on the stage and I grabbed it. So I didn't officially meet Michael Lee, but I have his drumstick well worn, worn in, so that's pretty cool. All right. I have a ton more of sticks, but I won't bring those out yet. I want to get some kind of display made and have them hanging out here in my hallway. I have a Buddy Rich drumstick, and it's attached to the wall next to my Buddy Rich record that I have hanging up, so I wasn't going to try to pull that back off of the wall. I've got drumsticks hanging out there that students have bought me, like from the Hard Rock Cafe in London, the Beatles tribute show from Vegas. I got sticks for that. Those are just kind of cool, fun, souvenir type sticks.